Every journey has a first step, and sometimes that first step is the most exciting one. Today, I'll take you with me through my very first day at work, from nervous mornings to new faces to lessons I'll never forget. So let's begin this day together. I woke up very early that morning. Outside it was still dark and the streets were quiet. My alarm rang at 6 o'clock and I jumped out of bed right away. It was my very first day at work. I didn't want to be late, not even by a minute. I brushed my teeth and washed my face with cold water. The cold splash helped me feel more awake. After that, I took a warm shower. The water was relaxing, but I didn't stay too long. There was no time to waste. I had chosen my clothes the night before. A white shirt and black pants, simple, professional, and neat. I wanted to make a good first impression. I even put on a small silver necklace, nothing too shiny. In the kitchen, I made myself a cup of coffee. Normally I drink tea, but that day I needed something stronger. I toasted a piece of bread, added some butter, and boiled an egg. I was too nervous to eat much, but I knew I needed some energy. I sat at the table, took small bites, and sipped my coffee slowly. The clock seemed to move faster than usual. I checked my bag twice: phone, wallet, keys, notebook, pen, lunch. I even packed a bottle of water and some tissues just in case. Before leaving, I stood in front of the mirror. I fixed my hair and looked at my reflection. Just smile, listen carefully, and be friendly, I told myself. I took a deep breath, grabbed my bag, and walked to the door. The air outside was cool and fresh. The sky was slowly getting lighter. The bus stop was only 5 minutes away. I walked quickly, my heart beating fast. I kept checking the time on my phone. I did not want to miss the bus on my first day. When I reached the stop, the bus was already there. I almost ran to catch it. The driver gave me a polite smile and I said, "Good morning." I tapped my card, found a seat near the window, and sat down. The bus was quiet. People were reading, listening to music, or just staring out the window. I looked outside too, but my mind was busy. I kept thinking about the office, the people I would meet, and the new tasks I would have to learn. The city was waking up. Shops were opening, lights were turning on, and cars filled the streets. I told myself, maybe these people are going to work too. During the ride, I practiced my introduction in my head. "Hello, my name is Emma. Nice to meet you." I repeated it again and again, trying to sound confident. Finally, the bus slowed down at my stop. I stood up, held the rail, and waited for the doors to open. "This is it," I whispered. I stepped off the bus and looked around. There it was, my new office building. Tall, modern, and full of people walking in and out. Everyone looked busy. I took one last deep breath and walked inside. The lobby was bright and clean. At the entrance, a security guard was sitting behind a desk. I smiled and said, "Good morning. I'm starting work today." He checked the list and handed me a visitor's pass. "Take the elevator to the 5th floor," he said. I pressed the button and waited. When the elevator arrived, I stepped in and pressed number 5. My hands were sweating, but I kept breathing slowly. When the doors opened, I saw a bright hallway with a reception desk at the end. The receptionist smiled at me. "Can I help you?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Today is my first day." She welcomed me warmly and said, "We've been expecting you." She guided me through the hallway to a small office. A woman stood up and came toward me with a smile. "Welcome. I'm your manager," she said. I smiled back, trying to hide my nerves. She showed me to my desk. It was simple, a chair, a computer, and a few papers. "This is your spot," she said. "You can put your things here." I sat down and looked around. Everything felt big and a little scary, but then she said, "Don't worry. We'll go step by step." Those words made me feel much better. She gave me a short tour of the office. She showed me where the kitchen was, the bathrooms, the meeting rooms, and the emergency exit. Everything was organized and clean. When we returned to my desk, she said, "Let's start with something easy." She handed me a folder with new client forms. She showed me how to log in, where to find the forms, and how to enter the data into the system. She even did the first one with me. Then it was my turn. My hands were a little shaky, but I started typing carefully. I double-checked every word before clicking save. One form done, many more to go. After half an hour, she came by and asked, "How's it going?" I smiled and said, "Good. I've already done 6 forms." She was impressed and encouraged me to keep going. Then it happened. I typed a wrong phone number and clicked save before checking. "Oh no," I whispered. For a moment, I just stared at the screen. I had 2 choices: fix it myself and risk another mistake, or ask for help. I decided to be honest. I went to my manager's desk and said, "I'm sorry. I made a mistake." She smiled gently and said, "That's okay. Mistakes happen. Let me show you how to fix it." Together we went back to my desk. She showed me how to edit the entry. It took less than a minute to correct it. "See," she said. "You asked for help and now it's done." I felt proud, not because I was perfect, but because I had learned something new. Later that morning, a coworker passed by and said, "You're doing great." Another one brought me a cup of water. Their kindness made me feel welcome. By lunchtime, I had entered 20 forms. I looked at the clock and realized the whole morning had passed. I felt tired but happy. I was learning, working, and slowly becoming part of the team. At noon, I grabbed my lunch and went to the kitchen. Some people were already sitting there, chatting and laughing softly. I sat at an empty table and opened my lunchbox, a sandwich, an apple, and a bottle of water. A woman came over and asked, "Can I sit here?" "Of course," I said with a smile. She introduced herself and we started talking. She asked where I lived, what I studied, and how I was finding my first day. I answered slowly and clearly. She spoke clearly too, which made it easy to follow. Talking with her made me feel much more relaxed. We even laughed about how confusing the office can be on the first day. Before leaving, she said, "If you ever need anything, just ask me." That small kindness made me feel even better. The afternoon went by faster than I expected. I printed documents, organized folders, and sent my very first work email. It was a small task, but clicking send made me proud. As the hours passed, I started to feel more comfortable. I even said hi to a few coworkers on my own. That small step felt huge to me. When the clock reached 5, people began packing up. Computers turned off, chairs moved, and the office grew quiet. I packed my things too. As I walked out, a coworker waved and said, "See you tomorrow." I smiled and waved back. Outside, the sun was lower in the sky. The streets were busy again with people heading home. But I didn't feel like just another face in the crowd anymore. I was part of something now. My first day was over. It wasn't perfect. I made mistakes and felt nervous. But I learned. I met kind people, and I took my first step into a new life. And that's what really matters. The first day finally came to an end. I walked out of the office feeling lighter, stronger, and a little wiser. I wasn't perfect. I made mistakes, felt nervous, and even doubted myself. But I also learned, connected with kind people, and proved that every new beginning is worth the effort. That day wasn't just about work. It was about courage, growth, and taking the very first step towards something bigger. And sometimes, the smallest steps can change the direction of your whole journey. So, that was my story. Now I'd love to hear yours. What was your first day at work like? Share it in the comments. Even one sentence can make a difference. Remember, every story matters. Every try, every mistake, and every success helps us grow. So keep learning, keep moving forward, and believe in yourself. Because your next chapter is waiting ready to be written.